Every so often, Games Workshop behave like they have competition in model design, as if they are racing to get ahead of the pack. This is certainly the case with this version of Logan Grimnar. I'm not a fan of the baby blue armor color scheme of the Space Wolves, but I couldn't resist this glorious hulk of Space Viking model. For this project, I'm going to lean into the Grimdark to mask that pale newborn boy bodysuit onesie color. Just remember, this is your hobby time, and you can paint your models the way you want. This model is not going to fit into any army or squad that I'm currently painting. It's more of a one-off paint project that I want to paint, and I encourage you to pick up and paint models that you think look good, and don't feel the pressure of matching with the others in your collection. To paint for the sheer joy of painting, a way of gauging the development of your skills and end up with a model you are proud of. To make this project easier, I will be working in a sub-assembly to access the trickier areas. There are several key components to focus on. Firstly, the armour. As I stated, I'm not a fan of Space Wolves blue. I understand that it's meant to be a cold Nordic blue, but that isn't what I'm aiming for. Instead, I'm going down the Grimdark road. Starting from a black primed model, it's time to add some grey. The goal is to work up in brightnesses of grey, but finishing with a pale blue as a way of keeping with the Space Wolves chapter scheme. This is the sketch approach to highlights. You will see a bold line of the next tone. Then I glaze the previous paint over the new into the old to blend the obvious line. Glazing is a back and forth process and can take a long time to get the desired effect. I do spend a bit of time on the armour. It is a key colour of the model, and I want it to stand out and blend in at the same time. Due to the pale blue highlight, the armour sits in a cold spectrum. The other features on the model will be in the warm spectrum. The trick is to get the balance of the both temperatures and gently contrast them. Another balancing act is to keep in mind the surface areas that the highlights inhabit. The danger is that the overall colour will read as baby blue, but keeping the mid-tone the main focus will help the colours appear grey. The art of Grimdark is to keep the saturation and the tones muted. You can use washes to drop the brightness down, but I prefer not to push them up to need to use washes. This is a project for the enjoyment. If it was a speed project, I would employ some wash techniques. This is the first introduction of warm colours. As the loincloth is low down on the model, I don't want to push the brightness too far, as I want the eye to naturally land on the face. Seeing the crimson next to the grey armour shows how careful I must be not to make a mess of the colour temperatures, keeping the strength of the colour low and kept within the shadows. For the gold trim and other ornamental bits, I will try the non-metallic metal approach. I'm not here to tell you how to do it. you could use metallic paints. So please don't consider me the authority on this technique, but I have been trying my best to figure out NMM. The only thing I'm being mindful on this model is to match the light direction that has already been established on the armour. Another thing to remember is that metallic surfaces don't follow the same rules of light reflection. So have a look around at shiny metal things and other dull metal objects around your house for inspiration. For now, the pursuit of NMM perfection continues. The world of Warhammer is littered with bones. Near every other model you'll paint will have bones and other fiddly details to paint. I suggest with this type of project, you spend a bit of time hunting them down and give them at least a few coats of colour. The trick is to remember to enjoy your time with the brush in hand. For the underside of the cape, I will sponge on the same base colour as the loincloth, but will step up a little richer in tone with red. The sponge is a great tool to use on bigger surfaces as it covers a wider section. This is a way of keeping the colours tied in, but adding a bit of variation. Also, the underside will mostly be hidden by itself, but that doesn't mean it can be ignored. When you pick up any of the Games Workshop's models, you'll be able to tell that certain elements have been designed for dry brushing, edge highlighting, panel lining, or will work well with contrast paint. Large fur capes are definitely sculpted for dry brushing. Start off with heavy smudge dry brushing to apply the base. With the paint still wet, go over with a different tone. It will merge into itself and give a natural blend. Because my model is sub-assembled, I'm making a point of following the same steps of the wolf head, the legs that are attached to different parts of the model elsewhere. Another technique to add to the fur is washes. I find adding a wash is a neat way of pulling the base colours together. Be gutsy with the agrax, but don't let it pool. Make sure you move it around before it starts to thicken. With the shade dried, it's time to come back with the dry brush, but for this stint, will be a lot lighter and more purposeful. Try not to smudge the paints the same as the base. The two wolves that stand at Logan's flanks are a dry brusher's dream. These guys are going to get the same steps as the fur cape. Something to take into consideration that no two animals in nature have identical colour pans. They might have a similar theme. For instance, the underside might be a lighter grey and the ridge of their back might be a sun-bleached brown. But what you'll find is that the ratios will be different and the exact vibrancy will alter. Since these wolves are extravagant additions to the base, I don't want them to stand out and draw the focus away from the main model. One of the key features of any model is the face. It's where we as humans look first. I start with a magenta, then a series of lighter skin tones glazed over, using the shape of the face to guide where the brush may land. The reason I use magenta as a start point is that it offers a bright and cold undertone that will help harmonise with the cold armour. This is a fun little technique, and it's easy to try. First, glaze your dark red from the outer section to the middle, then gradually build up a brighter orange colour. With this base established, glaze over the blade using a glaze medium, express medium or contrast, whatever you have at hand. Taking a fine tipped brush loaded with ice yellow or white and gently touch one of the joins in the cross sections of the cracks. The capillary action will pull the paint into the cracks. You will have to do this a couple of times to get the strongest brightness. Just take your time. With that dry, do the same with red or any other colour you want to look like it's surging through the weapon. Repeat this to achieve the desired opacity. The glaze medium will leave a milky finish over the blade. Use the base colours as a guide and reapply the colours from black, red to orange, but be extra careful not to paint over the cracks. With the model finished, it's time to just reflect and think, I did that. It was a fun wee project. I'm proud to show it to my friends and family, and I'm happy to share it with you guys here. I encourage you to do the same. Take a model that's just gonna be a one-off and paint it, just for the joy of painting. Until the next video, thanks for watching and take care.